Oh dear, guys. We are laughing here because we have been doing the show for about 5 minutes and we just realized we weren't live. So once I apologize to everybody in the show. Welcome, defeaters, one and all. This is Tony the Pugilist Boy. I'm joined by my good friend to my left, Dani Glover, in the house from FightFanTVLive. What's up, my guy?
Yeah, it's all good, you know. It's the master aficionado, you know where it is, with my guy Tony, pugilist. So yeah, man, it's all good to be back.
Yeah, so we've it's all on me. It's all on me. We've been talking away for like 5 minutes, and like I suddenly realized I haven't got the live red thing in the corner. So apologies to everybody. So without further delay, let me go straight into the chat and give props to everybody in the house. So first in the house, White Tony, evening up, sir. Big up from BaseDaKID saying love to everybody. Enjoy the show. Smash the like button and I'll see you next week. For those of you who don't know, Base isn't currently on the ground. He's in an aeroplane, probably well up in midair, returning from his holiday. Looks like he's had a wonderful trip. I've seen some of the clips. Looks outstanding. We'll see Base next week. Big up to Skyliner, the editor. Oi, oi! Big up to Chris Collymore. Big up to Dan the man. Big up to Jam Down 187. Manners and respect at all times. G Chain in the house. Big up yourself, my guy. Biggs is in the place. Untraceable. Yes, sir. And J Lands. And for anybody else who's not there or thereabouts, big up to yourself for joining us this evening. Slightly delayed, but we are here to break down this weekend. So how you been, Dan? Tell us, how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been all good, you know. Once again, yeah. So yes, it's a good 4 cards of boxing that went on over the weekend. I see a lot of people I know went to City Splash yesterday where the sun was out and the weather was nice. So it's something I'll be looking to go to next year because I didn't manage to get there myself. I see that you've booked your flight tickets for Errol Spence. I see they've shot up to £1,000 now, so you got to get it soon. And I see Terence Crawford's posted that the tickets will be out in 2 days. So hopefully your link, he pulls through and you'll be there, man. What about yourself?
Yeah, my week's been great. Finished off the school week last week. I'm now on a nice week's break. Obviously, everybody's enjoying the sun from the bank holiday. I got out on my bike, the one that you can see slightly a bit of yesterday. Lovely ride in the park yesterday. Day before, I was out swimming in the outdoor swimming pool. So, yeah, it's been a nice, relaxing weekend. Yeah, looking forward to this. As you said, 4 cards. So there was lots of boxing action to take in this weekend. So without further delay, let's get in amongst it.
Where should we start?
So I did send you a little schedule. I can't even remember where I said we'd start with. Can you remember what I said?
Oh, I can't remember in chronological. I didn't know when you sent the schedule. I didn't know you wanted to do it in chronological order.
No, it's not. It's not technically. It isn't. Normally, it's in chronological order, but here's what we were going to start with. We're going to start with Okolie versus Billam-Smith. Go through that card. Go through Conlan Lopez card. Go through Catterall, Wood, and then we'll finish off. We'll finish off with Wood Lara 2. So we'll start off with a big one. Probably, technically, it was a big one. For talking points, it seems to have outdone itself.
Yeah.
So we'll try and give it a little bit of attention, but let's not fool ourselves. This was not a pretty fight in any way, shape, or form. Do you want to go first and talk about it, or do you want me to?
I'll talk about it, but it's not much really to break down, is it?
Yeah.
So Lawrence Okolie, he came out on negative form, unfortunately. He was, working behind the jab at first, but then looking to literally do a jab and grab. This is what we're talking about, G-Chain, when we're saying jab and grab. This is the real jab and grabber, unfortunately. And then, Chris Billam-Smith managed to, as Lawrence Okolie turned away in the 4th round, Chris Billam-Smith managed to land a left hook, which dropped Okolie on his back. As you can see right there, as he turned away and tried to jump backwards, Chris Billam-Smith leapt in with a left hook, dropped him. From there, Okolie went even more negative. He got a point off in the 5th round for holding. Then he got a point off again in the 7th for holding, unfortunately. He got dropped in the 10th, even though on the replay it didn't look like it landed. On the replay, that one there, on the live it looked like it, but I don't know what happened there. But Lawrence, he protested a bit, but he kind of just got on with it. As you can see, Billam hit him with the right hook. Okolie's come in, throw a shot, but dip down. I don't know if he got caught there. On the replay, it didn't look like it, but it was a strange one. And then in the 11th, Chris Billam-Smith did catch him as he tried to fall in. So Chris Billam-Smith stepped back, kind of did a horrible version of a check hook. And Okolie grabbed onto both his legs and tried to go for a shoot, an MMA shoot. And he went over and he got another count. Unfortunately, as you can see, look, he's tried to go for a shoot there, but Chris Billam-Smith managed to sprawl. And it was an unsuccessful takedown, and he took another count. A lot of the controversy is mainly about this 112-112 card, but 10-9s and 9-9s and 10-8s and stuff like that. It was a bit of a horrible affair, but Chris Billam-Smith managed to get the job done in front of his home fans in Bournemouth, and the show goes on. People are saying, "Oh, Ben Shalom must be upset. He's invested in Okolie," but he's also took Chris Billam-Smith off of Matchroom as well. So he's got another stadium fighter in Chris Billam-Smith. So the title stays in-house. So he ain't going to be that upset. Great story. Chris Billam-Smith done it the hard way. British, Commonwealth, European, and now world champion. And Richard Riakporhe will be waiting in the wings. Richard Riakporhe holds a win over Chris Billam-Smith already at British title level. So that win has aged even better now. Hand it over to you, Tony.
Good stuff, good stuff. And as you can see, the boys, they have been friends for a long time. They've sparred several rounds together, and they were maximum respect judged both before the fight and after the fight. Here's a message from Lawrence the next day. "I woke up feeling blessed. Well done, Chris Billam and the whole McGuigan Gyms team. What a show and what a performance." So you know what? I like that. He was magnanimous. Oh, we have a surprise guest. I'm going to jump. Do you want to come in now, buddy? Not yet. Okay. We have a guest that I was not expecting.
Okay. Oh, by the way, we're talking about the sparring thing. This fight just goes to show you that sparring doesn't always equate to how a fight will play out, because I have, by good sources who've been in the gym with both of them, that Lawrence has dropped and stopped Chris Billam-Smith on several occasions in sparring. But it just shows you when it comes to fight night, when the lights are on and the 10-ounce gloves and the pressure's on and they're both match fit, that fights can be a lot different to sparring.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that you have to take from sparring is it's a learning experience. You have to learn. Don't think that what you see in sparring is the be all and end all. Getting dropped in sparring is a learning curve, because it shows I'm willing to try something, and in doing so, it might go horribly wrong. And that's the place to try it. I know a lot of kids, and I've said this many a time on the show, You know, a lot of kids want to come in and they want to run with the Philly shell. And it's like, you know what? I can show you in literally 10 seconds how to negate your Philly shell. So don't try it. There's only one Floyd Mayweather who really perfected the Philly shell. You know, everybody else can try it, but not many guys can perfect it. And certainly not many of the kids that I work with in the gym who look at it and think that's the way. You know, in the same way, dropping your hands to your waist and thinking you can dodge punches with your head, you know, it's a great skill to have, but it ain't the be all and end all. And ultimately, if that don't work for you in a fight and you come across an opponent who can hit your face with regularity, trying to slip it while moving your head is going to be a damn lot harder than if you just put your hands up and say, okay, I'll defend using my hands. Let's just see. Big up North Bank, Bren in the house. Thanks for joining us. Leon Watson. What's up, Leon? Hope you're well. Ron A. Okolie needs that belt back. It's his only leverage. Without the belt, his career could effectively be over. As far as promotional companies and networks wanting him on cards and on network, well, on TV. I mean, the thing is, he's now tied into a deal with Boxer. So, belt or no belt, they're obligated to provide him promotional and managerial services. So, you know, the belt doesn't necessarily mean you have to be, you know, lower than where you were or where you are. Because let's be honest, Conor Benn was the face of Matchroom. He ain't never had no belt. Yeah, you know, Anthony Joshua is still the cash cow. He ain't got no belt. Yeah, so belts are good without a shadow of a doubt. Belts are good. We just saw a 1.2 million pay-per-view fight with no belts. Garcia versus Tank. So I understand your point, Ron A, but I have to say belts are important, but they ain't always as important as performance, because you can lose a belt and your performance tells the crowd, you know what? I like what I see. I want to see more. And the classic case is Woods Lara, because he was still able to, without the belts, bring a big crowd and sell out an arena and go into a big matchup. Yeah. Jam Down 187. The one thing that stands out to me is how relaxed Okolie appears to be about being relieved of his world title. He was happy for CBS, although I feel he won't hold on to the title for too long. Good point. Good point. I mean, as I started by saying, you know, these two are good friends. You know, first and foremost, they are friends, and they've gone on and had a fight after spending several months and possibly years working together as friends, as gym mates, as sparring partners, and delivered on a fight and come out of it with respect for one another. And that has to be applauded. You know, it would be like, you know, with the Southeast London connection in the light heavyweight division, Dan Aziz, Craig Richards, and even to a lesser extent, Josh Buatsi. You know, they're all friends. They've all sparred with each other. Even Anthony Yarde sparred with them. So, you know, there is a affinity, but it doesn't stop them getting in a ring and fighting each other. And there's definitely no, you know, no need for what you normally come to expect in a boxing match, the histrionics of anger and you know, aggression against your opponent. Now, I just wanted to quickly talk about the card, the scorecards.
112, 112.
The scorecards are interesting. I hope this isn't too small for y'all to see. But effectively, this is the scorecards. You got that on your WhatsApp, Dan.
Yeah.
But effectively, it looks like this. everybody scored 10-9 to Okolie in the first round. Everybody bar one judge scored 10-9 to Okolie in the second round. Everyone scored it 10-9 in the third round. Then, fourth round, Okolie gets dropped. Everybody scores it 10-8. Yeah?
Yep.
The next round is the one where it starts going a little bit loopy. Because round 5, you can see 2 judges have given it 9-9. Yeah? And 1 judge has given it 10-8. Yeah? The first column is fans. This scoring detail comes from BoxRec. But quite simply, what that looks to be is in round 5, the last 2 judges had it as a 10-9 round to Lawrence Okolie, but then they deducted him a point, and that's how you end up with a 9-9 round. Yeah. The next round, Chris Billam-Smith, everybody sees that as a Chris Billam-Smith 10-9. The next round, round 7, is again 2 judges see it as a 10-8. The fans see it as a 10-8 knockdown round. However, the last judge, which is the same judge that has it as a 112, sees it as a 10-9 round to Okolie.
That wasn't a knockdown round. That was a deduction round. Deduction
round, yeah. So this is where everybody's put this down as a 10-8 round, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Yeah. So if you score that round for Okolie, the deduction makes it a 9-9 round. Round 8, everybody sees it the same. It's an Okolie round, 10-9 all round. Yeah. Round 9 looks to be a swing round because most of the judges see it as a Billam-Smith round, but that same judge that seems to be favoring Okolie sees that as an Okolie round, 10-9. Then we have
round
10, which is a knockdown round. No, it's a point deduction round.
No, it's a knockdown round.
It's a knockdown round. So we have 2 judges scoring it 10-8, but again, that very friendly judge to Okolie sees it as only a 10-9. Now, correct me, is that the knockdown that wasn't a knockdown?
Yeah, it's the one that that wasn't really.
Yeah, we've seen it. Yeah, because what that judge has done is seen the knockdown and gone, I ain't counting that as a knockdown, because the man clearly didn't get punched to go down to the floor. Yeah?
Yeah.
He clearly didn't get punched to go down to the floor. So it ain't a knockdown. He scores it a 10-9 round. Yeah? Round
11.
Everybody's in unison. Okolie definitely went down, 10-8. And then the last round looks to be a split round because 2 judges scored it for Okolie. 1 judge scored it for Billam-Smith. And I don't know how, because to me, Okolie definitely won the 12th round. He came out on smoke. They told him in the corner, you need this round. So the middle judge who scored that a 10-9 round to Billam-Smith, you were smoking something, bro, because that was probably one of Okolie's clearest rounds.
Yeah.
Am I right there, Dan?
Yeah. I agree.
So that, in essence, ladies and gentlemen, is how you end up with scoring that looks strange. I listened to Ade today, and he was giving his breakdown. He scored it 113-112 to Billam-Smith. And I'll be honest with you, I probably would have scored it similar. Because what that judge has done, I can totally understand. He's given rounds to Okolie and then deducted him points. As opposed to just saying, oh, because you got deducted the points, you lose the whole round 10-8. What say you, Dan?
Yeah, I think that's right, about right. But with the knockdown in round 10, even though boxing VAR did pick up that it wasn't a knockdown, I would have scored it 10-8 nonetheless because the ref said so. If he gives a count, unfortunately, that's the way it goes. Unless you are allowed to, like some of the American shows, use the VAR to discount the knockdown, which they have done in the stateside, but over here they don't. So I would have had to win that knockdown in the 10th, a 10-8, unfortunately. But yeah, I understand the 9-9. I was having a discourse with Ade and Chris Andre on Twitter about this 9-9, because I thought that wasn't a thing in a fight that is scored as a 10-point must system. If it's announced before, I thought you couldn't do 9-9, but then I was sent a link by a Paulie Malignaggi who broke down the scoring system of a 10-point must system, and then I saw that it can be used. And then Ade also spoke to Andy Clark, who also gave him confirmation about that also. So that was something that I learned. I think it was yesterday. So yeah, that was good.
Yeah, excellent. So I hope, guys, that's helped you understand that 112-112 scorecard. Wayne Alexander in the place. Big up to you, Wayne. Hope you're well.
Big up, Wayne.
Says Chris Billam-Smith must hold a record for landing the least punches when winning a world title. Yeah, I mean, you know, there was so much holding, not initiated by Chris, of course, but yeah, it was just an awful fight. And, you know, look, there was talk about the rematch. Obviously, there is a rematch clause in place, but I don't want to see that fight. I'm pretty much shot of anything from Lawrence Okolie. As I said, you know, title or no title, that's not really the important thing. To me, it's more about, you know, performances, which is why I always end up glowing about, you know, some of the youngsters who are on their way up. I like to see, you know, the kids coming up through the game and see how their game develops. Dark Side of the Moon, big up to yourself. Okolie will win the rematch if things go the same way, minus the points for holding. And he needs to stop holding so much and stay more defensively sound. Can you teach an old dog new tricks? Bigsy Biggs, but when you're scared to get it and there's a lot of help, you overcome it. It's just how he fights. So that's why I ask. Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah, I know what you mean, Bigsy Biggs. It's hard to break old habits, but I think he can change that style with the training of Sugar Hill. But I would say he needs 4 or 5 fights to change that. Right. I'm glad you mentioned Sugar Hill, because I want to address an elephant in the room. Which trainer is good for Lawrence Okolie? This is the problem with Sugar Hill. Yeah. And this is my opinion. Sugar Hill is your finisher. Yeah. He's not the guy that's going to come and do a 3-month training camp. He's going to come in on the last week and go, okay, let's watch some footage. Let's go through some things, and then we'll polish up what needs to be polished up in terms of strategy to beat an opponent. But he ain't doing the donkey work for the 2 months prior to his arrival in camp.
Do you know why? Do you know why I'm so glad you said that? Wayne Alexander, are you listening? Me and him had a big conversation for 2 hours yesterday. No, on two nights ago about trainers like this, because he wasn't giving respect to certain trainers, because these are the unsung heroes who put in hours and months of graft. Just because the poster boy is in the corner giving the instructions, that doesn't mean he is the main trainer of those guys. This is the facts.
Absolutely. So unfortunately, Sugar Hill, if he's going to do something, he needs to fly Lawrence out of Dubai, because Lawrence is living in Dubai nowadays, from what I understand, or some parts of the Middle East. Yeah. Fly his ass to Detroit, wherever you're based, and say, hold a seat, right, Yasso? Because we're going back to scratch. As in Rocky Balboa in Rocky 3, when he ended up in the gym in Philadelphia with Apollo Creed. Because they said, going back to basics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is with Okolie, I think he is scared to get hit, because I remember in the amateurs, he got skinned out by Erislandi Savon, the Cuban, in the was it the Olympics or the World Championships? And I've seen him buckled a few other times up in the amateurs, and so I've always felt that he's had a bit of a suspect chin. Remember his brethren got cleaned out as well on the Frank Warren show on his debut. He got skinned out as well. So yeah, it's one of them things he needs to overcome, getting hit and because what I noticed in his fight, he doesn't actually really get hit a lot because he holds so much and tees up his own shots. He needs to build up his conditioning of taking a shot, I believe. So I don't think he takes enough shots. I know he's not good to take shots, but I think he's taken too little where he needs to condition himself to take a shot.
Yeah. I hear that. I mean, does he need to me, it's fundamentals. It's about, and you know what the funny thing is, yeah? I was watching Lara against Wood, and I know we want to leave that to the last, but actually, the way Lara boxes, you could just take that and go, there you go, Lawrence. This is how you box at range. Because that's what he's got. He's got those long levers, and he wants to fight at range, but he doesn't know how to stay at range. So when you look at the way Wood boxed Lara, he knew, I can't get mid to close range with this guy. I need to keep this guy on the end of my punches. And he did it magnificently. Lawrence has no ability to punch at range and stay long range. People were talking about, he needs an inside game. No, he doesn't need an inside game. He needs to know how to stay at range. Imagine Lawrence Okolie goes up to heavyweight. Do you imagine the danger he's in if he gets close with any heavyweight? So he needs to learn to stay at range. Now, he's going to, at some point in time, get close. He needs to know how to hold. And again, I look at the Lara fight, the Wood-Lara fight. When Lara gets off, Lee Wood closes him down immediately. But nobody's turning around and saying, he's holding him. No. He holds for the right time, moves the opposition so that he can move away without being in danger. There's a methodology in how to move fighters. Yeah? People will talk about, Floyd was a dirty fighter, he used his elbow. No, Floyd is using his hands in the same way. If anybody understands about Wing Chun, you're using your hands in such a way that you can deflect and manage an opponent's hands. So Floyd is an expert. He's able to manage your hands and then deliver punches in between where you put your hands, or where he's managed to move your hands. Yeah, Lawrence doesn't have any of those skills, and that's where he needs to learn how to manage people's hands, how to manage people's body position, so that if you want to hold, there's going to be a time when you need to hold an opponent, but then move them around and move out without getting hit.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next fight, because we've spent a lot of time on that one, man.
Right. So next we're going to talk about Sam Eggington against Joe Pigford. My bad. Anyway, so this fight again from the Bournemouth card. Joe Pigford was the home favorite. Sam Eggington brings his years of experience into this battle royale as the kind of semi-underdog. I mean, if you look at their records, then Sam, he deserves maximum respect, because he's just the true road warrior. He'll go and fight you wherever you want to fight. And that's what ends up happening. He takes on Joe in his back garden, and he puts on a show. You know, this is Sam at his mercurial best. You know, he can sometimes be a little bit laborious, but on this occasion, he boxed beautifully. He used a good jab. He managed the distance really well. And when it came down to it, he took out Joe Pigford in sensational fashion, which we're going to see the end of. Great finish from Sam. As you see, went hook crazy. Joe Pigford just unable to defend himself, tries to hold, but you know, the worst example of how to hold, because he leaves Sam's hands wide open for him to clot him in him head side, and the referee jumped in at just the right time. What's your say, Dan?
Yeah. So Sam Eggington versus Joe Pigford. Sam Eggington coming into the fight, 33 wins, 8 losses, 19 KOs. Surprisingly, he's only 29 years old. He's been around for so long. Joe Pigford, 20-0, 19 KOs, only been to points once. He's 30 years old. Both made their debut back in 2012. It was actually a technical affair of jabs being thrown by both, with Eggington more willing to take the risk by throwing the right hand behind it, but was falling short more times than not. In the fifth, he managed to land a beautifully executed 1-2 left hook, which knocked Pigford's head back, followed up snapping his head back with multiple shots. Pigford tried holding on, but just got brutalized. The main factor in this was that Eggington looked far more experienced in there. Joe looked a bit raw and novice in there with Sam, to be fair. As he does have a padded record. He's not beaten anybody of note or even fought for a Southern Area title in 21 bouts, whereas Sam has been British, Commonwealth, European and IBO champion, beating the likes of Paulie Malignaggi, Ashley Theophane, you know, and some other Frankie Gavin. So yeah, he's been in there with, he's beaten big names. He's been in there with proper guys. Whereas Pigford, he ain't fought nobody, and that showed tonight, and he got exposed. Yeah, Pigford, he's from Southampton, so just down the road from Bournemouth. So he brought the crowd, and he was the home guy. But Sam Eggington brought his years of experience. He's like the British Gabriel Rosado. Yeah, he just dismantled him, man.
Yeah, great finish from Sam.
Yeah,
he's got Sam's that in his locker.
He's always ready to rumble.
So congratulations, Sam Eggington. A great performance. Super D says, I was well impressed with Sam Eggington. Surely he should have a world title fight soon. He's not quite at that level, unfortunately, Super D. As we've mentioned, he's basically been around and seen it all. He's done everything in order to be, a top domestic fighter. But I think we've also seen his limitation. Yeah, he's going to be good up to European and intercontinental type of levels, but at the top end of the sport, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have what it takes.
And all the belts are wrapped up by Jamel Charlo, and Sam Eggington ain't living with it. So
yeah, I mean, the guys who are all in the top 10 right now, they all eat Sam Eggington for dinner.
Tim Tajou, Brian Castano, Tixeria. He ain't there.
Yeah. He deserves a Rocky moment, surely. It's funny you used the word Rocky, because the guy who had the Rocky moment was Rocky Fielding when he faced Canelo. Because that was the guy that was like, how the hell did you get that shot? But yeah, I don't see it happening with everybody at the moment on hold for a title shot. Sam Eggington is in a long queue, and he's nowhere near the top of that, unfortunately. Ron A says, Eggington again, Josh Kelly could be a good fight. Yeah, totally. Could be a very good fight.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, let's move on. The next fight is... So we're going to move away from the Bournemouth card. There were some other decent fights on the card, but none of them that I had noted because we've got so much to do. Quick memorable mentions were Michael McKinson, TKO over Lebin Morales.
Yeah.
That was a good performance from Michael McKinson.
Yeah. Busting simulator.
Okay. Karis Artinstall with the points win over Jay Taylor. And Lee Cutler with the points win over Stanley Stannard was a decent scrap to watch. Right, so we move over to Ireland for the Mick Conlan versus Lopez fight. One which I was interested in, and it didn't disappoint because it was like, wow. So what they did with this card, I've got no pictures for this one, unfortunately, guys. So I'm just gonna have to say from what I saw. So clearly, Mick Conlan gets his world title shot on home soil, and they bring across this kid. And all I can say is, from the first minute of the first round, the Mexican kid is on his toes and swinging from the bleacher seats. And I'm like, bro, my guy is properly looking to take this guy out. But Conlan boxes well in the first couple of rounds, and he lets Lopez miss a lot of shots. So he wins the first 2 rounds on just sharp boxing. But in the third round, this guy seems to have worked out what Conlan's going to do. So he kind of feints his big shot, and then he stands and waits for Conlan to make his slip move, and then he catches him. And it's like, oh, hang on a second. He seems to have caught wind of what Mick Conlan's going to do. And in the third round, it's like, he just chases Conlan from pillar to post. Conlan's moving around. He's trying to, slip and counter. He's effective, but you clearly see the tide of the fight has shifted dramatically. And Lopez is managing to catch Conlan. And what I notice is when he catches him, Conlan is holding for dear life. And it's like, if this has got to go another 8 rounds, we are up for an upset. And lo and behold, the 4th round came, and my guy just went into Super Saiyan mode. It looked like he was like playing a game of Tekken, and he was throwing that punch from outside the ring, and it was coming up from hitting the floor and winding up into Conlan's chin or his chest or wherever it landed. And it was like, oh my God. He was catching him with an uppercut left hook on regular basis. And it was after Conlan had done his slip move. So Conlan does his slip move, and as he comes out, my God, and it's like, whoa. And he knocks out Mick Conlan with one hook. That makes me go, oh my God, I hope he's alive. What was your take on the fight, Dan?
Yeah, so Mick Conlan, he come out well in the first round using his boxing. But that Louis Lopez, he's got this move where, as you said, he'll be on the outside and he'll throw it from basically Telegraph Hill, but somehow it lands. He's like, he jumps in and he just whips it. It's like this weird rotation, and he just swings it, and it lands. It's a straight. I've never seen a punch like it, but it managed to land. He has this kind of unorthodox kind of stance as well. The way it's a bit herky jerky-ish, the way he maneuvers himself. But yeah, anytime he did catch Conlan, you could see, when he hit Conlan around the side of the head, Conlan's legs was, always wobbling. You could see Lopez is very heavy-handed. He wasn't able to wobble up Josh Warrington like this though, but you've got to wonder about Mick Conlan's punch resistance, because in that 4th round it was a hook come uppercut, and it didn't look like the biggest of shots, but the way he went down in slow-mo like timber, and he was out breathing on the floor, so Adam Booth had to throw the towel in. It was a bit worrying. You know, they had to put the gas mask on him, and yeah, Louis Lopez, he moves on. But yeah, very, very tricky customer, man. That Louis Alberto Lopez. Yeah, very good fighter.
Yeah, very, very good fighter. It'll be interesting to see where he goes now after this fight, because obviously, you know, he's a danger in that featherweight division. I'd imagine that they'll be steering Lee Wood towards Josh Warrington. But, you know, look, anybody who thinks they want to take a crack at Luis Alberto Lopez's IBF World Featherweight title, prepare for some pain.
Mm-hmm.
But look, it was a good fight while it lasted. Forget Wood versus Lopez. I'd rather see Lopez versus Robesi Ramirez. That's a good fight. But
it doesn't feel though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, so we move on. The next fight we are going to talk about will be on the Wood Lara undercard. So we're going to talk briefly about Harper in her WBA World Super Welterweight title defense against Habazin. Obviously, this was a fight that was delayed from last week, where she was meant to fight Brickhouse. Cecilia Breakhouse, but that fight was postponed, and last minute Habazin came in and fought Terry Harper. Harper basically won this unanimously using her boxing skills. Habazin was difficult in every round, but Harper promptly dealt with most of what she was offering with better timing and better footwork. There wasn't any point where either fight appeared to be hurt, but it was a professional performance from Terry Harper. Well done, you. So I'm going to move on because I don't need. I think we just move into a bigger, better fight on that undercard, which was the return of Jack Catterall against Lara Foley. I'm going to let you break down the action here.
Yep. So let's get to this. Yes. So Jack Catterall coming out. Both of them were coming out southpaw. The right jab was a weapon from Catterall. In the second round, Jack Catterall landed a lovely 1-2, and then a 1-2 into a jab, which rocked Foley back on his heels. Followed up a bit, and had a big round. He managed to outbox him constantly, changing levels on the taller man in Foley. Another significant round was round 7. An arching left hook dropped Foley to his knee. He bounced straight back up though, and then Catterall hit him with a naughty straight left hand. So yes, he gave Foley a count, but then he docked a point off of Jack Catterall. So that would make it a 10-9 rather than a 10-8. There you go once again. For those who are thinking about scorecards. So that ended up a 10-9 round. Catterall landed a left-right hook to the body on Foley in round. What's this? I think this is round 7. And then Foley complained to the ref, who said, "Carry on, no foul." Catterall came in with a 6-punch combination to the body, followed up with a big 1-2 dropping Foley. Then Catterall went for the finish, head and body shots. Foley used like a grapple technique to make them both tumble out of the ring, to try and kill time. And then Foley, he rolled the dice in the 10th round, but too little, too late, really. Great performance by Jack Catterall. He definitely does. He definitely deserves a world title shot because all that time he's had out of the ring, it doesn't look like he's lost a step at all. In fact, he just looks even sharper. So he must have been training like a demon in the gymnasium, and he's coming out of a vengeance because he looked really good.
Yeah. So I mean, this was an interesting fight because there was a lot of histrionics before the fight between Foley and Jack. Effectively, Lara Foley was like bigging himself off the back of his third round stoppage of Robbie Davis Jr. and making out like, you know, look, he was telling Jack Catterall, well, look, you're looking to try and get a rematch with Josh Taylor, but really you got to be worried about me. I'm the guy, and I'm about to bring you some work. And to his credit, he brought the work. You know, but there was a lot of angry words. We'll put it at that. There were lots of jesting of position in the prelim to this fight. So I was interested from the perspective of where will Jack Catterall be after what I believe was 455 days since the fight with Josh Taylor. Interestingly, he had 455 days before he fought Josh Taylor. So he was out of the ring for 15 months before he fought Josh Taylor. And then he's had another 15 months to the day. So it was an interesting statistic that was read out while the fight was going on, that he'd had 455 days break before the fight with Taylor and since the fight with Taylor. But yeah, I was definitely interested to see, you know, what kind of shape he'd be in. I thought that Lara Foley would give him, you know, a hard test, and he did. But I was very impressed by the work of Jack Catterall. As you said, Danny, you know, he definitely done what was necessary in preparation for this fight in the gym. He looked sharp. You know, sometimes when you're out of the gym, that sharpness goes away and it takes a couple of fights to build it back. But he didn't seem to have dropped an inch. And in fact, yeah, he looked very impressive. Caught Lara Foley with some beautiful shots on the 1-2. Appeared to be able to ride shots really well. So, you know, there was no telling damage that was sustained by Jack by being out of the ring. But he certainly looked the part. And as you said, he had him down twice. There was that foul point taken away from him in the 7th, but he did an extremely good job in averting the advances of the very ambitious Lara Foley, because he tried to rough up Jack Catterall, but Jack was having none of it. You know, he was moving nicely away from anything that Lara was throwing, and he effectively won this fight at a canter. Obviously, with the two rounds that he won with the knockdowns. Of course, as you said, there was another 9-9 round in there. This was a good performance. So we look in the chat. Big up to Phil Larkin, evening chaps. Who you got, Catterall or Prograis? That's a great fight if Gay can get that one on. That would be a good one. I would tend to favour Regis Prograis in that one, but looking at the way Jack Catterall looked at the weekend, that's not a gimme. What's your thoughts, Dan?
Yeah, I'd favour Prograis because he's been, you know, showing better form against better opposition. But Jack is more than capable of getting a points victory on his so yeah, that'd be a good fight. But I think Prograis is looking to invite Devin Haney because he's offered him free tickets to his next fight in New Orleans and said pull up and we'll show you some Southern hospitality. So
nice. Yes, sir. So yeah, lots going on in terms of matchmaking going forward. So that leaves us with the main event, which was a barnstormer. an absolute barnstormer. Was it going to be repeat or was it going to be revenge? And here we go with some of the action. So, you know, look, we all know that Mauricio Lara lost his title on the scales. He came in at 129.8, 4 pounds over. There was no attempt to lose the weight because it was decided for him that he was not going to be able to lose that much in a sufficient time scale without putting himself at risk. And so, as a result, the only person that could win the title would have been Leigh Wood if he won the fight. As you can see, he dropped Lara in the second round with a beautiful uppercut. One thing I noticed from this fight was the footwork of Lara was quite atrocious. He quite often found himself with like tripping over his own feet. Just from a technical perspective, you know, I was looking at this and thinking to myself, I don't know why, but very often Lara attempted to move either left or right and ended up stumbling because his back foot, for some reason, ends up right behind his front foot in at an angle which is not what I would consider to be the triangle that you expect to see with your body in the center of the 2 feet. So, in fact, the knockdown, it's not a concussive punch that knocks Lara down. To me, it's actually he catches Lara at just the right moment when his feet are off balance and he knocks him down. So it's a knockdown. I'm not saying it's not a knockdown, but what it isn't is a concussive punch. It's just a perfectly timed shot that catches Lara when his feet are in a bad position. But effectively, Wood knows, you know, he can't let the hooker hook. So he keeps this fight at long range. He keeps it at mid to long range. He doesn't get involved in anything short. And as I said earlier, you know, Lawrence Okolie could do with watching the way Leigh Wood manages Mauricio Lara. He uses very good hand technique to manage the fighter into positions when he comes in for his big hooks. He knows I have to keep myself in the right steady position to counter, and if I'm gonna be in close, I'm gonna work and then find myself at an angle where I can move away from my opponent without receiving damage. I know this guy's gonna be coming at me with hooks, and that's not to say that he's perfect all night. No, he gets hit by Lara, but what he doesn't get is sustained punches from Lara. You know, what he's able to do is if he gets hit hard, he's able to move out of position and reset. And that's what a good coach teaches a fighter. If you get hit, find yourself resetting back to a place in the ring where you can clear your head and restart, and you start again. And Lara did that. Wood did that wonderfully all night. Utilizing his jab, he out jabbed Mauricio Lara. I got some punch stats here. Total punches thrown, 314 from Lara, 429 from Wood. Wood almost doubles the landing punches, 150 to 78. Much better punch accuracy. He hits 35% of his punches compared to 24% from Lara. The jabs, you know, look at that. 87 jabs landed to 28 jabs from Lara. So he, you know, anybody who's wanting to know about the technical side of this game, jab is still the most important punch, you know, especially if you're fighting somebody who wants to throw short range punches, which is what Lara is known for, and that's how he got to Wood in the last fight. So great performance from Leigh Wood. Dan, your go?
Yeah, as you can see there with the jabs, he's done more than treble. If you're talking about landed 28 to 87, that's over treble what Lara landed. Yeah, as you said, Lara seemed very ponderous, and it was like he was just chasing ghosts in there. for some reason. That shot that Lara caught him with, that Wood caught him with the uppercut, it was a well-timed uppercut as Lara came in, and then he used the other hand to kind of guide him over. So, some refs would have called it a no knockdown via the push, but, I think the uppercut did send him off balance, and it was a good timed uppercut, but he did kind of guide him down with the other hand with a slight push. And yeah, even if Lara did land, he didn't land clean like he was able to last time. Wood used a very controlled and very disciplined method this time. He obviously boxed to him. Look, as you can see, he guided. He kind of pushed him over with that left hand. If you look at it, look right there. You see that? Does it play?
No, but yeah, we saw it. The left hand was definitely on the shoulder, pushing him down as he was already in a downward spiral, so to speak.
Yeah. But yeah, he used a very disciplined game plan by Ben Davison. So he obviously knows, as the saying goes, those who can't listen must feel, in it. And he felt it last time out when he got his clock cleaned. So he knew, I can't be risking trading up with this guy, risking taking a big shot. Otherwise, especially now I know that he's definitely heavier than me on the scales by 4 pounds. Fight night, yeah, we did do a check weighing, but I'm sure he was still significantly heavier on fight night as well. So yeah, he boxed very disciplined. I think fear and adrenaline made him box better, and had his reflexes very cat-like, very sharp, and very disciplined. And he's a 2-time world champion. Carl Froch is happy with him again, the Sheriff of Nottingham. I was surprised that they put it in Manchester rather than in Nottingham Arena, but maybe that may have helped him not be as distracted to try and get into a war and try and, appease the crowd if he does land a big shot, or, for instance, when he does drop Lara, trying to go in for a finish and then getting wiped out. So, yeah, I think this sets up a great fight with someone like Josh Warrington in either Nottingham Forest or Leeds United or whatever type of ground that is. That'll definitely sell. So yeah, it was a good performance by League Red. So yeah, well done to him.
Yeah, well done. So guys, that really leaves us very little. A couple of honourable mentions. Alexis Rocha, who was originally scheduled to fight Terence Crawford, isn't it?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, because he was put in as a mandatory for Terence, but obviously was informed that there's bigger fish to fry. So yeah. So he ended up fighting Anthony Young in a fight that headlined at the Zone card. There's not really much to talk about. Alexis Rocha dismissed of Anthony Young in 5 rounds. I only saw the highlights. Dan, did you see anything more than highlights on that?
Yeah, Rocha coming in 23-1, 15 KOs. His only loss coming to Rashidi Ellis, which was 3 years ago. He's only 25. Anthony Young coming in 24-2, 8 KOs. I noticed, yeah, the 4th round, Rocha caught Young to the body in the pit of the stomach. Young sagged into the ropes, folding over. Rojas stepped on the gas, but didn't jump on him enough to finish and get the job done. So Young managed to get through the round. Round 5, Roja had Ellis on the ropes, right hook to the body, stepped slightly across, landed a big left hook to the head from his southpaw stance. Young got up on Bambi wobbly legs. The ref took a look at him and stopped the fight. Surprisingly, when I saw the name Anthony Young, I was thinking it was Anthony Young from Southampton. I remember from the amateurs, but then when I looked on BoxRec, it was an American guy. Yeah, good finish from him.
Good stuff. So guys, that's it really. Other than that, there was a small card over in Australia. There was a comeback fight for Joseph Parker. He dealt with his opponent very quickly. Don't know if you saw that at all, Dan. He now moves to 32-3. Obviously, he
Understood.
knows where the money is. He'll be back over here, I'm sure, pretty soon, knocking on the door of all the Brit contenders to try and re-establish himself after his loss to Joe Joyce.
Yeah, a couple of honourable mentions. Campbell Hatton versus Michael Bulik. He was a lot more composed, set up his jabs, hooks to the head and to the body well, moving slightly away from trying to be like his old man Ricky and using a bit more of his Uncle Matthew's boxing technique, adding that to his game. Body shot, right hook to the body, made Bulik wince and spit his gum shield out in the 4th round. Bulik was winded and tired and decided to try and get on his bike. Hatton pressed the action, stalked him. Round 5, they was trading. Then a left hook, which seemed to cuff just behind the ear of Bulik, staggered him. And then a right hand followed through from Hatton. And that had Bulik all over the shop. And he fell into the ropes and the ref stopped it. Aquib Fayaz versus Costin Iron. Fayaz is a pure boxer, no power. 12-0, only 1 KO. Costin 10-4 and 2 with 5 KOs. Nice check left hook in the 3rd round. Should have been a count, but was ruled a no knockdown. It should have been a knockdown for Fayaz. In the 3rd round, Fayaz, he also landed a nice straight right hand, which dipped the knees of Costin. In the 5th round, a massive left hook timbered Fayaz on his front, flat on his front, as they both threw left hooks at the same time, and Costin caught him. Somehow, Fayaz was able to get up at the count of 3. Costin piled it on, nearly stopped Fayaz, but Fayaz survived. Both traded left hooks in the 7th round. Fayaz came off best. Fayaz was shoving and showing grit, then opted to box the rest as it was only an 8-rounder and managed to get a points win. 76-75, I believe the score was. Yeah.
Yeah, I did mention. I did mean to mention Aquib Fayaz. I mean, you know, he's a beautiful boxer, but as you said, he lacks any kind of power to distract opponents from just, you know, rolling over his work and trying to, of course, pummel him with power shots. He sits on his punches nicely, but he's not able to generate sufficient power to you know, stop opponents.
Yeah, and then lastly, one of my favorite British fighters at the moment, Nick Ball versus Ludam Lamati. Nick Ball 18-0, 11 KOs. Lamati 21-0-1 coming in with 11 KOs from South Africa. What I'd say is I'd like to see Ball in with the likes of Jazza Dickens in an all Liverpool derby clash, or fight for the British and Commonwealth title against the champion Nathaniel Collins from Scotland, who's 12-0 with 6 KOs. Or you could even try and jump in with Kiko Martinez for the European if he fancies it. But I'd probably opt for one of the other two first. Ball is a very rough and tumble kind of guy, throwing his man on the floor in the 11th. He hit on the break in the 9th. You know, he got a couple of warnings during the bout. Early doors, he was like bulldozing in, but missing a lot due to Lamati's height and movement, who was doing quite well early doors, boxing on the back foot. But when Ball started to make it rough in there, he took over. Lamati showed great durability, taking lots of his big shots and combinations, and never went down from any of it. Ball has showed a lot of late power as of late, as he took out Nathaniel Kokolo in the 12th round 2 fights ago, and he took out Jesus Ramirez Rubio in the 1st round in his last fight. So he shows he can take you out in the 1st or the 12th. And as we saw last year when he took out Isaac Lowe in the 6th, so he can do it in the middle of the fight as well. So yeah, definitely he's one of my favorite British ones at the moment.
Definitely one to watch, guys. So that's that. There's a question to me from Dani. Hope you're well, Dani. It says, does Tony believe you're naturally born with power, or can power be taught? Power can be taught. It can be developed over a period of time. It requires understanding the mechanics of power. Yeah, because speed plus weight equals power. That's the technical breakdown of power. So you can be built like a brick shithouse, like a bodybuilder, and have very little power because you ain't able to technically throw the punch in the right way with the necessary speed. Yeah, which is why I end up with a lot of guys who are big, not able to do what you think they can do because they're not punching in the correct fashion. Whereas you can get someone who's skinny, like Thomas Hearns, very lanky, doesn't appear to have lots of power, but can generate huge amounts of power because the technique is definitely superlative to a lot of other fighters. So yes, power can be taught, but the ultimate is when you have the physicality, yeah, and the speed and accuracy
and
to
the
deliver.
velocity of the punch. The
Yeah.
velocity of it, because also another very slender, slim guy in Deontay Wilder. You look at him, and then you look at the other heavyweights. He hits the hardest because he's able to put a lot of torque and velocity into his punches. And a lot of these bodybuilders, you look at them and think, oh, look at the size of him. What they are strong. They have strength, but they don't have power. Power and strength is two different things. Hence, there's a difference between a power lifter and a weightlifter. This is why there's a difference between being built for show and built to go.
There we go. Broken down eloquently by my guy, Dani Glover from Fight Fan TV. And it is at this point that I have to tell all of you who haven't done so already, go look at this guy's YouTube channel. It can easily be found. Type in Fight Fan TV Live. Go follow the channel. Lots of great content is there already on the channel, and he's consistently putting up new stuff that if you're interested in boxing, you will want to see because the content is excellent. The interviews are fantastic. I have nothing but praise for his channel. It's a great channel. So guys, before you go to sleep tonight, we're going to bid you good night. But before you finish for the night completely, do remember to go and visit Fight Fan TV. If you want to follow me, my details are below. I'm on Instagram as Pugilistboy. There's an IC between T and B. Pugilistboy. Everywhere else is the Pugilistboy. Twitter, YouTube, etc. Guys, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Sorry, and then myself, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Dani Glover _EST, and on Twitter, Dani DANI Savvy SAVVY right WRIGHT. So you can follow me on Twitter as well because I like to chop it up with a lot of people on there too.
All those details are in the description for this video. So if after you can't remember, in the description, you might have to click the more button where it says read more. Down there where it says contact details, it's got KG, it's got Travis, it's got myself, Base, and it also has Dani. So guys, thank you very much. Appreciate you all for joining us this evening. I'm going to let Dani give his usual end of show salute.
Thank you, guys. It's another episode of The Breakdown. It's Tony Pugilist. It's Dani Glover. And remember, guys, persistence beats resistance. You know where it is.
You know what it is. Take care, guys.